Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for being here on another episode of Latino World Travelers Virtual Travel Parties. Today, we are going to have an amazing episode because we are welcoming Chris, that traveler guy, who is going to talk to us about Romania and his journey traveling to that beautiful country. So I cannot wait for you to meet him and learn so much from him. So hang on and let's welcome him. Welcome, Chris.
Hi, thank you, Vanessa, for introducing me. Yes, my name is Chris, and I'm known as the Traveler Guy in Instagram. I've traveled most areas around the world except for Oceania. I haven't been to Australia or New Zealand yet, but pretty much every other continent, not Antarctica either. But yeah, I'll be glad to be sharing today some more about Romania. And if you plan to go there, if you have any questions, shoot me a message on Instagram. I'll be glad to give you more insight.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about you. Um, where's your background? Like, how did you start traveling? And then we're gonna jump into Romania.
Got it. So actually, I inserted a little bit into the presentation. So if that's okay with you, I can begin sharing.
Absolutely.
Okay, sounds good. Go in here and share screen. All right, just let me know once you're able to see it, please.
Not yet.
There we go.
But we will, oh, it's coming up. Beautiful.
Is it there? Okay, cool. Perfect. Yeah, so this presentation will be about Romania, and I titled it Captivating Romania because it is a country that blew me away. It has a lot of great things and it has a lot of character, and that's why it draws you to it, and its people are really, really nice too. So now going back to a little bit about me, I do hold a master's degree in business management, so I've been involved in sales operations, and I enable teams ever since I was little. Looked at ways of making things function in an easier fashion, or finding methods to do things in an easier way, just kind of helping others overcome hurdles. And that's brought me to the position where I am, where now I work with several teams and support an entire region, close to 60, 70 sales executives that take care of sales in the technology space. So I've been blessed to be where I am. As a matter of fact, one of the things that is great about the work I do is that one of the perks is I have unlimited paid vacation. So I am able to
What? That's
travel
amazing,
when
Chris.
I take time off. Although I don't exploit it too much, I try to do 2 long trips a year for about 3 weeks each. And then throughout the year, I go here and there, but very close by, just like on the weekend. So that's one of the things that enables me to do that. But obviously, I worked hard to get to where I am. I've been with the company for almost 9 years now. So like I mentioned, I am in the technology industry, and my focus is really to enjoy life. I think we need to have a balance, and I think it's very important to not just be successful with money, which is one of the things that most people normally focus on, is just piling on money in the bank or looking at a number in the bank. I don't think that's the driver for me, although it is important to have financial success because it'll enable you to do other things. But the main point is to balance your life. I work very, very hard, and I actually earn that time that I take off. My leaders actually tell me, you earned it. Don't even feel bad about being gone for so long. Go ahead and do it. You deserve it. So I'm blessed again being in a team like that, because I know that not in every place, in every country, or with every boss that you might have, they'll have that overview of letting you go for so long and not having to worry about work, right?
And it's great that you have that balance of not only working hard, but like they say, partying as hard and being in your company giving you that flexibility of taking that time off to enjoy yourself. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, and that actually goes into that next point. I'm passionate about other cultures. I don't really go out that crazy, like I don't party that hard, but I do travel very hard for sure. So my driver is that I'm passionate about learning other things, seeing different parts of the world. Ever since I was little, I moved between different cities. So I think that's what kind of sparked this thing, where I understood that things aren't the way you see them in a city where you live or where you grow up. Most people normally grow up in a city and they stay there for a long time, and then maybe later on they move. But then that's when they actually get to see a different perspective. But since I got to do that when I was very little in different cities, I got the sense of very different contrast. I lived in a city that had millions and millions of people. Then I moved to one where I only had like a couple thousand. So I saw a huge contrast of different lifestyles, and that actually helped me because it helped me become more humble. And as I visit more countries and talk to other people in different from different religions, from different points of view, it allows me to understand that we're all different. We can see things differently. We can live differently, but gathering all that knowledge and having it within you allows you to understand really what life's all about, because it could be very different in different areas of the world. So that really drives me. And if you do visit my Instagram account, my focus on there is just like an album of my photographs. Many people back in the day started telling me that some of my photos were pretty cool. I'm not a professional photographer by any means. I use my iPhone to take my pictures. But I did develop an eye for landscape photography, and that's what I do. I post a picture of myself in a place like the one you see here. I'm in the Venetian canals. And then after I post a picture of just a landscape, not even me in it. So I do one-on-one, and that's really all the content that I have on there. Very basic. Any videos that I shoot on there, you're not going to hear me explaining anything. You're not going to hear me providing any comments. I'm just going to record what I'm seeing, and I'm probably going to place a tune on there for you to listen to and just to see. And I don't overdo it. I don't want you to see a lot of what I'm doing, because what I want to do is incite people to go to those places. I just want them to see a little bit of something, so they're like, wow, that looks really cool, I want to go there. And that's actually how I plan my trips. I don't plan much ahead of time. I buy the ticket, then I buy the hotels or Airbnb, whatever I'm going to do, and that's it. I wait till the time comes. When I'm in the airport waiting to depart to that country, I start researching top places to visit, and I don't look at pictures or videos. I just kind of write them down, have them in a list, and when I get to the country, I experience them for the first time there. That way I'm wowed by it, and I'm not like, oh, I already saw that, you know. So
Oh, wow,
it's
that's a very interesting take. Wow. Maybe I'll do that on my next trip, to be honest. It relieves the pressure, right?
Yes, and I mean, and that way, like I said, you see things for the first time, and it takes you away. It's not the same if you look at 20 videos and see what others are showing you and how everything works, and then you're like, well, I already saw it. It's just kind of no surprise, right? So yeah, that's kind of the way I function when doing my traveling. So far, I've visited 49 countries, and I have 8 more coming up. November 3rd, I will leave for a month, and that'll make it 57 by the end of this year, hopefully. And then we'll see what next year brings us.
And where are you planning to go? What are those 8 countries?
So the main driver for the trip is Qatar for the World Cup. I will be assisting a couple games there, but then obviously it's pretty far away, so might as well make use of the time and visit some other countries. So I'm going to be in Switzerland. I'm going to be in going to go to Prague, going to go to Budapest, going to go to Slovenia, and from there I will go to Cyprus, Lebanon, and Qatar. Yeah, I was planning on Israel, but I had to change my trip. I messed up a couple flights and I had to change the route. But yeah, so those are some of the places I'll be going to
That
next.
sounds like a fabulous trip. We're gonna be looking at your Instagram, like, let's see what he posts this time. Mireille just wrote in the chat, do you need an assistant? Flavia, I'll be in Hungary in November, so you can link up with her if you're gonna be in that area as well.
Yes, of course, of course. And yes, I do need help sometimes. I'm pretty busy.
Pues
Thank
ya
you.
tú sabes, Flavia, just send him a DM and connect. Meet up in Hungary. Yes. Can you imagine? That would
Well,
be
there we go. Yes, yes, of course. I've met several friends in other cities, and they might be closer to where I live. or where I've been before, but then we meet up somewhere else. So yeah, it always works out. We'll make
Mhm.
it happen. Yeah. So if you want, we can jump into Romania. So as you can see, I'm here in the National Museum of History. I went in last October, 2021. I did get some gloomy weather when I was there, and it's not the best for pictures, of course, but I did what I could. I was there for approximately 6 days. Flew to Bucharest after being in Sofia, Bulgaria. So one of the things that I want to mention, one of the first things is that the impeccable cities. It's really, really clean. The buildings are really taken care of and restored. Um, I think they did a really good job after the wars they had and everything to make sure that the city was up to point. I've been in other cities that have the same character, although I mean it's not their fault, but they didn't have maybe the funds or the resources to do the same type of thing. And the cities here in Romania are just clean and the buildings look beautiful. So it's definitely a treat. Now, there is a mixture of cultures. The first time that I spoke to, or that I remember speaking to someone from Romania, I was in a trip elsewhere, can't remember exactly where, but I kept hearing them speak and I thought that I could pick up some of the words and understand. And by the way, I like learning other things. I'm currently learning French. I understand a little bit of Italian and Portuguese, but I was trying to catch the language and understand what it was. And some of the words seemed very familiar to Italian. So, but I knew it was not Italian. So I asked them and they said they were Romanian. And then I also, when I was in Romania, I kept hearing and I kind of caught some words that sounded like Arabic. So this mixture has a lot to do with what happened in history. Of course, Roman Empire was mostly there most of the time in the area, but the Ottoman Empire did take over for about 300 years or so. So the areas surrounding Egypt and Israel, that big, large Ottoman Empire took over for a few hundred years, and that's why the language does have influence of Roman influence. So it's some Italian per se, and also some Arabic words. So you will hear some of that when you're there, and there's also influence in the culture, not just the language, of course. Now, yeah, that brings us to obviously more up to our times, the Romanian Revolution of 1989. That's when they revolted against the government and got rid of socialism. So it's a very big turn in how they were functioning, and that brings democracy to Romania. So it's definitely a big turning point, and one of the things that changed drastically the way things worked. As you know, with socialism, everything works for the state mainly, and then people get kind of rationed or should be equal. And if you want to succeed or have more money or do better, that's really not a good place to do that, because it's not looked at with a good eye. Now, in Romania, there have been 3 Nobel Prizes. One of them was in medicine. Then later on, a Nobel Prize on Peace, and then the most recent one in 2009 was a Nobel Prize in Poetry. So a lot of talent there. There's many big countries that don't even have one, so that's definitely an achievement. And if you recognize that last name there, Francesco Illy. Illy is a brand. Do you know, Vanessa? Have you heard of Illy? Do you recognize that? I mean, I could show you the logo and you'd know right away, but
I don't. But what is it?
I think you're on mute. You're on mute.
I am?
Yeah, no, not anymore.
Oh, I said that I don't know what it is, but tell us.
Yeah, so Illy is a coffee brand. Well, they actually make coffee machines, and it's all over the world. It's a red logo. It just says Illy with white words, white lettering. Sorry. So yeah, Francesco Illy was the first to create a espresso machine. So
Interesting.
if you
Okay.
like espressos or coffee, you got to thank
Mhm.
the Romanians and Francesco Illy.
has been living in Barcelona. She has traveled all over Europe, and she said a lot of around Europe she has seen it. The Italy
Yes.
brand.
Yeah, I've seen it in Latin American countries as well. Yeah, thanks. And Nadia Comaneci, do you remember her? Does that ring a bell?
Not at
No?
all. I need to
Well,
learn more of my history.
well, if you were around the 90s, that definitely would sink in your brain. She was the first Olympian in the women gymnastics to achieve a perfect 10. So she was definitely, she is a legend. And yeah, she got some gold medals. So pretty awesome.
In the 90s, I was in the art, so I never saw stuff like that. Maybe if I was in the US, I would have known. So
There we go. There we go. By the way, some of the oldest human remains have been found in some caves around the capital as well. So there's a lot of old culture and new influence that has also, as you've seen with these Nobel prizes and the influence on sports and other inventions in the country. So very cool, very important. Now we'll jump to the actual city. So in Bucharest, they do have their Arcul de Triomphe, which is like their version of the Arc de Triomphe. It looks pretty much the same. I think I have a picture up here. So yeah, that second picture there. So that's their Arc de Triomphe, and they do celebrate one of their major holidays there. The soldiers will march through the arch. Yeah, very cool to see. I wish I would have had a little bit more sun when I went, so I could take different types of pictures. But that's the best I could do. Now, some of the places that I definitely recommend for eating is I'm sitting here at Naive. This is more of upscale, more bite-sized type food, and more modern, definitely more modern. But Caro Coubert is amazing. It's very old school. It has amazing woodwork. It feels old. You go in there and you feel like you're in the 1800s. There are musicians there playing the piano or the violin live. So, and it's 2 stories. So I definitely recommend going there. They have all the local food that you can think of, the best specials. They have drinks. So that's definitely the place to go. And this is in the old part of the city, or old downtown. I stayed in that area, by the way. Very walkable. There's hundreds and hundreds of bars, restaurants, and nightclubs as well. So I would recommend staying in the area as well. So as I said, that's Nomad Sky Bar. Oh, sorry, that's Naive, the last one that you see listed there. Nomad Sky Bar is a bar nearby as well. It's pretty hip. People from all over, young and old and younger. So pretty cool. And then Sexy Basili, that one's really cool too. That one's a little further ways near the Arc de Triomphe, or Arc de Triomphe. And that had outstanding food, and it also has a bakery in there, so you'll find some really nice treats and pastries.
you know that you were speaking my language right here when you talk about food. So I'm taking notes.
Yes, and one of the things that I like to do when I go to a new country is try the food, some of their local spirits or wine, even beer as well. But what I try even more is if to find something like some street food if possible. But most first world countries will not have this anymore because it's unsightly. You don't want it. Governments don't want stands on the streets and things like that. So it's very hard to find that in a developed country. But I do try that as much as possible because I think that's what people normally eat, and and most of the times that's what has the most flavor. It's not the healthiest, but it has the most flavor.
And what is the food there?
Now, the Coliseum
I have no
Cafe,
idea
that's
what they have.
the first picture that you saw on the presentation. That one is with the colorful umbrellas. That one right there, the beginning. That's that area right there. I did not have food there, but it's a cool area to take some pictures, of course. There is a lot of that. And if you look up Romania on Instagram, you're probably going to see a bunch of pictures there.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, since I went and it was raining, then I guess the umbrellas serve their purpose.
Right. So what's Romanian food?
Okay, so some of its influence is really Middle Eastern. So, for example, they have, I have it in a little bit, I think on the other slide, I have the name of it. They
Okay.
call it different, but in Arabic it's called doma. And doma is the most original version of it is grape leaves. And they have stuffed, and there is stuffed with a mixture of rice and some minced meat,
Mhm.
mostly beef, I believe. But they also can do it with other things like squash, and they can do it with onions. So they stuff the onions with the same filling, and that's pretty much comes from the Middle East. Other than that, they are very big on pastries, and also a little bit of the area there. Most of the countries, for example, Poland and the neighborhood, even in Russia, they do a lot of meatballs, a lot of soups. So things to keep you warm, of course, because with the winters that are could be pretty harsh, you need something to to keep you warm, and something that is during those long winters you're not going to have a lot of meat. So things like potatoes and things like that. So cheap stuff that will give you some energy and won't break the bank.
Sounds like
From there,
fun.
yes. If you want to party, hit me up. I do have a contact at Face Club. Face Club, I know it sounds like Facebook, but Face Club is like the nicest nightclub there, and it is quite different. It's very technological. I mean, it has like the nicest stage and lighting and all this, um, and it gets pretty packed. So you got to get there early once you make the reservation. But the difference is that it's weird. It's you get there and it's a table. It's like a restaurant, but it's a restaurant in a nightclub, but in an actual nightclub, like music, there's dancers, and then you can party there. So you reserve a table, and then you can order food or your bottle, whatever you want. So it's a different experience because you're not used to having a table at the nightclub. I mean, and I mean an actual table, like table, and you have plates and stuff. So it's more like a VIP experience. But it is pretty nice, and with the exchange, I mean, it's not too bad. It won't break the bank, but you'll have definitely a lot of fun.
That sounds so cool. And thank
Yes,
you for the contact. We're gonna be in your DMs. Like, what's the contact?
they're gonna be like, "How are you getting all these people from everywhere?"
Right.
Yeah, and then Revolution Square is yeah, in the vicinity, near downtown, old downtown. That area very walkable. There's very many historical buildings, including the Parliament. The Parliament is it's actually the biggest building in the world. I didn't know this, but I mean, as far as like the weight and the sheer size, like the area that it covers, the second largest in the world is the Pentagon in the United States, and their Parliament building is the largest building in the world.
Wow, I
And
had no idea.
yeah, and I don't mean the tallest; it's just the largest as far as volume.
Hmm.
And that's actually right there. Now, when you go there, you definitely want to go to Transylvania. And of course, if you're adventurous, I would definitely recommend renting a car and driving yourself, because then what's going to happen is you're going to have way more time to just spend time there, and take more pictures, things like that. If you can't do that or don't want to do that, sometimes I don't do that because of laws with, whatever it is. In this case, it's normal, but in other countries, you have to drive on the other side of the road and things like that. So I try to keep it simple, not get in trouble, and things like that. But on this one, I did a tour. So they pick you up at whatever near your hotel, and then it's a long the entire day. It's the entire day. They'll pick you up very early in the morning. You'll come back pretty late, but it's definitely worth it. So the first stop is in Transylvania, uh, and then they also take you to Brasov after that, and I'll go over Brasov in a sec. So you can see there, obviously there are castles there. Palais Castle is the first castle you see on the top of the picture on the top. And that was the first castle in all Europe with electricity. That was in 1889. It's gorgeous. It was raining and we got there a little bit late, so we didn't get to go into the castle, but you can definitely check out some of the pictures on Instagram from other posts, of course. And but it's definitely worth it. It's really nice on the inside. From there on, then they took us to Dracula's castle, which is the one that you see in the bottom. It's kind of hard to take
It's the
pictures
one
out
that we
from the
hear
other
in
side
movies,
because you're too
right?
close to it. But as you do that tour,
This is the one that we hear in movies and cartoons, Dracula's castle.
yes, yes. And what's very funny, and I won't give it all away, I won't give you much info. I mean, I want you to go there and experience it yourself, but you'll learn about Dracula or Vlad the Impaler and why he got that reputation and what does Dracula mean and all that. Just say that it's mostly marketing. Sorry to burst your bubble, but you'll hear more about it and why it got to this point, and now it's bringing a lot of tourism, but it makes sense, and it's a cool story, and now we got a lot of movies and stuff that follow from there. They do have there at the castle. You can take a little bit extra, pay a little bit extra to go into the bottom of the castle, and it's a pretty cool experience. It's pretty short, but I definitely recommend going down the elevator and taking that extra little tour. Once you exit, then you should have some time to take some pictures. Do whatever you can to take some cool pictures of the castles and enjoy the area. Again, I went in October and there were a lot of shades in the colors of the trees as it was beginning to be autumn. So it looked really cool. Some of the trees were fully orange. Others, as you see there, were more in the yellow area. Some of the green. So really cool pictures that you can take, especially if you like nature. And if you did drive, I would do a picnic there if possible. Bring a bottle, some cheese, and have at it.
What was the weather like when you went?
From there, you'd go to Brasov. It's pretty close by. I believe they have some slopes for skiing and snowboarding when it's winter time. They do have lifts there, and it's really nice. Once you're approaching it, you'll see the letters Brasov on the mountain, kind of like the Hollywood lettering. You're seeing here the largest Gothic church. It's called the Black Church. Doesn't seem too black on there, but you can see some of the rocks near the bottom are darker. And the other side, it is pretty black due to fires in the past. So they left it like that, and that's why they call it the Black Church. I believe it was around the 1700s that occurred. Here, you definitely have time to walk around the shops. So enjoy your time, people watch. Do wander off a little bit further away from that area where you're going to be for the main city plaza because it's really nice. They do have some amazing buildings down the road and all over. The city looks really nice. It's worth staying there a couple days, I would say, and going around. I did enjoy some pastries there as well, and they were amazing. Now, these were some of the things that I was mentioning as far as the food goes. Sarmal is what is called doma in Arabic. So yeah, the grape leaves filled up with rice and meat. Another thing that is recommended is a meatball soup. Kozonak, which is a pastry. It's like um, it's like a combination of chocolate and vanilla type bread. It's really cool. They normally just do it for the holidays. And then papanasi, and of course I might be butchering these names because I don't speak Romanian, but it's like a donut without a hole, and it's pretty large. You can share one. It's pretty large, and they have different flavors. It's really good. At Caracubea, you can get that. I definitely recommend it.
Yum, yum. So it's better to go with someone so you can share the food with, otherwise it's gonna go to waste because it's big.
Yes, unless you can eat like I do. Then yes. And yeah, so one other cool fact around near Bucharest, the capital, and again, I'm going to butcher this, Transfagaransan Road. This has been deemed by some of the top drivers in the world as the best road in the world. Why? Because it has a really scenic view as you're driving, and it's very windy. So it's a thrill to drive, especially a sports car or a coupe sports car through there. So again, if you are a good driver and you're up to it, then if you rent that car, definitely would hit that up. Any questions, comments?
How feasible is it to rent a car there? Is it pretty easy or?
No, it should be completely fine. What I do want to mention is that Romanians are pretty strict when it comes to abiding by law. Um, for example, I went during COVID time still, and you had to download an app that pretty much says exactly where you are and when you leave. So you check in when you go in. They have you open it.
Mhm.
It has your vaccine passport, and then you like check in. Like I went into cafe so and so. Then when you leave, you check out. So pretty much the government's tracking where you are. Now, when I went onto this tour to Brasov, we left in the early morning, and I was sleeping in the back of the bus. No one had their masks on. I mean, we're all vaccinated, most of us, I suppose. And then the police stopped the bus. It was a large bus. We're probably like 30 people in the bus. I was in the very back sleeping, and then when the cop got into the bus, saw me because I was in the very back, like in the middle. So he saw me straight, and he saw me that I didn't have the mask, and I put it on, and he wrote me a ticket. They stopped the bus for like 30 minutes. They had me walk out. They
Oh
wrote a
my
ticket, and
God.
they're like, and I'm like, well, what's gonna happen? Like, and they're like, well, it's just a warning because it's the first one, but now he's like, now you have a souvenir from Romania. So I mean, it's funny. I mean, I don't know why they even wrote it. Like, it wasn't gonna do anything, but they still did it. So what I'm trying to say is that yes, I mean, whatever they tell you that you or look up the laws and everything, just make sure you abide by the law because they are pretty strict. Don't be scared, of course, if you're just gonna be driving. It should be as normal. Don't don't speed and don't honk the horn too much either. But other than that, you should be fine.
So when you visited Brasov, was in the same trip that you did Transylvania, or you went there separately as well?
No, it was the same one. So after Transylvania, then we went over to Brasov.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the same vicinity.
In Bucharest, is that how you pronounce it?
Bucharest.
Bucharest, was it easily accessible to take public transportation, or you just stay within walking distance because that was easier?
No, so I stayed in that area because, and I normally do ask for recommendations because I've done this in the past. For example, I went to New Delhi, and it's a huge city, and I just looked up. Normally, you look up the country. Well, I go mostly to the capitals first. So look up the capital and see the map, and where it drops the pin. Normally, that's like the center of the city, and that's normally where it's more lively. So I've done that over and over, and most of the times, 80% of the time, that's gonna work out because that's where everything is, right?
Mhm.
But in New Delhi, it wasn't the case. So I stayed at a place, and they're like, "Why did you stay here? Nobody stays here." Like, it seems central, but it makes no sense to stay here. Kind of the same thing in Rome. I didn't know where to stay, so I asked, and yeah, they said stay in the old town. That's the better area. It's
Mhm.
safe, it's walkable, and all that. But that being said, public transportation, I wouldn't rely on it too much. Although it looks fine, you can use it, but it might be a little complicated, like taking different bus routes, because I didn't see a subway, not that I can recall of. They might have one, but it might not be pretty large. So I used Uber all the time,
Okay.
and that's fine.
And
Yeah.
Uber was easy, like to insert addresses and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's good.
No problem. That's pretty much it. I'm open to any questions regarding anything that I
Mhm.
went over.
Yeah. So let's see. I have a couple of questions. You said when you went, the weather, it was overcast, but what was like the temperature like? Was it comfortable? Do you recommend people to go during that time? Or do you recommend like maybe you found out about a festival and it's better to go at another time? What do you recommend?
True. I have not heard of like specific dates to go, other than, whenever you want to. I went in October and it was gloomy, but the weather was completely fine. It wasn't something where, you couldn't bear it and it was very cold. it wasn't. It's totally fine. So I guess I would shy away maybe from the winter months if you don't like cold weather. But one of the things that I think you should look into besides the weather should be if it's like rainy season. That's one of the things that I look for when I'm traveling. I instead of looking to see if it's cold or not, I look mostly at if it's going to be rainy or if there's a lot of wind, because that's a different factor. It could be really cold, for example, in Russia, but if it's not windy or it's not raining, you're fine. Just wear gloves and a scarf and be covered and you're good to go. But wind and rain makes a big difference.
Mhm. What other cities do you recommend people go if they go to Romania that maybe you wanted to go and you couldn't, you know?
So as far as I've seen so far, I think those are the main ones. I haven't looked further into it, but I am pretty sure that I think there is an area nearby too, there is. I don't have the name right now, but it's very near, like in the outskirts of Bucharest,
Mhm.
and people go there like to cabins. And this you would want to do when it is cold, because it's like that cozy feeling of going to a cabin and just spending time there, get your hot chocolate and just see it snow. So yeah, I forgot the name of the area, but it's nearby, like it's like 30 minutes from Bucharest.
Oh, good. And you said you were coming from Sofia when you're
Yes.
coming from there. So what countries are nearby that are easily accessible? So if people wanted to visit, like you're gonna do now in November, like if they wanted to country hop, like what's around there?
Yeah, so Sofia, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is pretty much next door. Yeah, so Sofia, well, Bulgaria is south of Romania. And then I met some people from Moldova. As a matter of fact, when I was in Romania, I mean, it's next door. That's to the northeast, Moldova. And then it has a border with Ukraine as well, in the north. And then to the west it has border with Hungary and with Serbia. So those are the countries and they're very close by. And most of these or some of these should definitely have a train. So for example, I'm seeing here Slovakia. From there, from Bratislava, the capital, you can definitely take a train to Budapest, which I'm going to do. And then from Budapest, perhaps you can go to Serbia, or then go into Romania. So you can definitely do a nice tour in that area. Hit up about 6 countries in that vicinity: Moldova, Slovakia, Hungary, Serbia, Bulgaria, and Romania. They're all right there.
That sounds like a plan. Um, Someone is asking in the chat, did you set up a budget for this trip or did you just go with the flow?
So uh, if you were here when I mentioned how I plan my trips, I book the flight first thing I do, book the hotels, and then that's it. I don't look into much else. The rest of the stuff I plan as I go. I don't plan a budget, but if you do need to plan a budget, I would do it ahead of time. Uh, look at the hotel prices, look at the flight prices, and then organize your day. Definitely do a spreadsheet on Excel. Spread your day to see what you're going to do, and then work with your budget. One of the things that I definitely recommend is just doing a walk tour. Look at the buildings that you should be looking at, some museums, take pictures of architecture, things like that you can do on your own. Just plan it so that you can walk it. Of course, you're going to walk a lot, so take comfortable shoes. So do that walking tour. It could take you the entire day, but you're going to see a lot, and it's pretty much free. You're just going to have to buy yourself a meal. But other than that, I mean, and then plan tours if there are tours available and interesting tours. So book TripAdvisor, Expedia, and there are several other apps now that provide access to tours. I think even Airbnb has tours now, and
Yes, get
Expedia with the
Airbnb
tour
experiences. Mhm.
experiences, correct? So look at those, and yes, I would advise you to budget if that is something that it's important for you. I normally don't do it, but then of
You just
course,
look at your bank account when you come back, like, oh, that was a good trip.
yes.
Yes, I feel you. I used to set up budgets before, but
Mhm.
then within the past couple of years, I'm like, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and I'm just gonna do it. That's why I'm going to this place. So I don't
Yeah,
have a limit.
yeah. I mean, there are, there's a diminished return on pleasure or on things. When you buy a purse that is $5,000, it's going to give you a great reward the first time you do that, or a watch or whatever it is. It's going to feel awesome, right? You're going to like bow down to the thing for a couple of days, but then you buy a second one for the same price and you're like, whatever. You buy a third one and then it starts losing its value. This doesn't happen with traveling. As you travel, you're going to see different things, you're going to have different experience. Even if you go to the same place, for example, I've been to Thailand a couple times with different people, so I had completely different experiences with different people in the same places. So traveling is definitely the best investment that you can do. Again, it's going to open your eyes to many things. You're going to try new food, and now maybe one of the foods you tried is your favorite, and you're going to try to look for it in your city. You're going to connect with people that you meet in the future, and it's definitely going to be an icebreaker, and it's going to create better relationships for you and better opportunities. As you grow up, get older, the people that you become friends with can help you in many different ways. You can create partnerships, you can start up businesses and things like that, and it all can start with a conversation. As a matter of fact, one of the determining factors of me moving into one of the previous positions that I had here at work is an interview that I had with one of the toughest interviewers, and people have even complained to HR that he's like super tough, and not tough in a bad way, but like asking very difficult questions, and people kind of get scared of him. So I had a director and him and another manager in the interview, and he asked me what I thought about Italian food, because I had just told him that I had come back from Italy, and
Oh my God.
I'm gonna be very honest here, but I told him what I thought myself, that I didn't like Italian food in Italy as much as I liked and even in other countries. So and he agreed with me. So again, I haven't been to Sicily. I'm 100% sure that Sicilian food is way better than it is in Rome, but to my taste, that's what I felt. But again, we connected. He said, "Wow, bingo! Like nobody says that. Everybody loves Italian food," and
Yeah.
so that's how we connected. And that's what I'm saying. It can be something very, very minimal, but that's how you connect with others, and that's how you build rapport. Uh, you can talk to people from all over and say like, "Hey, I've been there," and then you become friends right away.
Yeah, just be your genuine self and always speak with the truth.
Yes.
One of the things that you mentioned at the beginning is that you travel because you like to connect with other people and other cultures. Were you able to connect with people here, people from there?
Well, there are several ways. You have to be careful in the way you approach things in different countries. For example, if you're in a Middle Eastern country, unless it's something like Turkey, where they're a little bit more relaxed, you shouldn't be as a man, you shouldn't be approaching women to talk to them. It could be like you could even break a law in some places. So you have to be cognizant of those things. One of the things that sometimes I do look up is what not to do in a city, in a country. So look that up before you go so that you don't do something that in your country is totally fine, but it's disrespectful in their country. So sometimes I do that. Now, that being said, I mean, of course, you can go up to people, have a chat, and then I mean, if you have that in you, and you can invite them out to eat, say like, I'm visiting, would you like to go to eat, and share a conversation. I can tell you a little bit more about where I'm from or my culture, and then we can share, and then take it from there. So that's definitely one way. And you can do it if you're at a bar, or if you're at a nightclub, or whatever you like, or even if you're asking for directions on how to get somewhere. Or you can ask someone, and if you can take a picture of them if you see them traveling, like they're also taking pictures, you can help them out taking a picture of them. They can take a picture of you, and then you can strike a conversation. They might not be from that country, but you get to meet people from other countries that are visiting as well, and then maybe as a group, now you can find other people and bring them into your group. Now, of course, other ways could be platforms that allow you to meet people, like Tinder or apps like that sometimes I have used, and not so much with the intent of having a romantic relationship, but just speaking to someone, I'm going to be in your city, or I am in your city. Would you like to go out for dinner, and and get to know each other? That's a really good way. And it might end up there just in that conversation, and might become a friendship, or it might become a long-term friendship where you don't see each other maybe in 10 years, but if you are ever in their country again, then you can visit. And that's a really cool thing.
Yes. Also, Hostel World, they have an area where they plan events, and couch surfing. They have also another area where you can be matched with other people who are traveling there as well. And they do
True.
activities. So that's another way to connect with other people within a country or that are traveling to a country as well.
Yeah, and I've heard of another one called Meetup. I don't know if it's worldwide as well, but I think that one's really cool because I believe they do things that are just like groupings of different things. Like if you want to go run, you can go with a group and run. So, or you want to talk about history, you can do that, or practice a language, whatever it is. So that's another one, Meetup.
Yeah, I used to do Meetup for volleyball because I love
Oh,
playing volleyball.
nice.
I know. Um, well, this was fantastic. I feel like I have more questions, but I have to think about them. Mimi, do you have any questions, or anyone in chat? If you have any questions, um, definitely write it in the chat and let us know so we can ask Chris. Um, so when you book your flight, how did you book your flight? Because I know there are many people that use different platforms, but what is your way of booking flights and booking for hotels? I know you said sometimes you do Airbnb, but sometimes you do hotels. How do you do it?
So I do have some cool tricks now for flights, and very recently have I found this out. Um, so you have to be very careful with um, your planning. Don't go and book. Just don't go to just Google Flights. With that, that's a great tool though. Use Google Flights. Look on there. You can do when you're going to do different cities. It even helps even more because you can do multi-city, and you can list the dates and the different cities, and it'll make a plan for you, and then you can choose the flights. So once you do that, once you know where you need to go and the dates, set those up first. You have to. Then you're going to have to start working backwards, because let's say I booked all these flights to the next trip that I'm going, and it shows on Google Flights $2,000. Then what I'm going to start doing, I'm going to look at the map and see if there's a different way to do the route. Instead of going from this country to this one, and then this one, which makes sense geographically, there are routes that sometimes are way cheaper. Could take you for further away for $50 or 50 euros or whatever, instead of 500. So one way to do that is just try different cities in different times. Flip the cities if possible to see if that works. If not, then also use kiwi.com, Kiwi, Kiwi, like the fruit, kiwi.com. If you use that, if you put that one is not as sophisticated where you can put all the cities, but for example, put one and then to the next place that you're going, and it's going to give you a cheat route. It's going to say, well, a direct flight is 700 euros, but if you stop in Manchester for 8 hours, which is not bad, you can go grab a beer and take a couple pictures, then it'll cost you 80 euros instead of 700. So it helps you. You see something else, you get a stop. Sometimes that even helps because it's you don't have to take a longer flight. So that is a way that I do it. Also check with Expedia. For example, once you're ready to book though, once you know what flights you need to book, definitely use the credit card that gives you the most points. And also use, give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Yeah, so use the credit card that gives you the most points, and then going to further things that could give you more points. So like Rakuten is one of the websites that gives you points when you book stuff, and also on top of your credit card, use your credit card. And Expedia too. If Expedia gives you a points on top of the points on top of the card points, then you end up with triple the points for something that you were just gonna book and be done with. So those points add up at the end of the day. Even if it's $20 that you save, it is what it is. I mean, it gave you a free meal. So that's something that
Absolutely. I'm definitely gonna check out that Kiwi website because I've never even heard of it before. So taking notes here, right?
Yes, yes.
Ah, so cool. And for hotels, you do the same thing.
So
You
yeah, for hotels, I do the same thing. I definitely look up Airbnb, and you have to look at both things because sometimes Airbnb is more expensive than hotels. I've
Mhm.
seen it. I've seen it. So check hotels, check Airbnb, um, and then if you are going to be doing something like couch surfing or anything like that, just make sure that you're going with a host that has a lot of 5 stars and a lot of reviews. Don't go to someone new because you never know. You don't want to put yourself in a situation that is going to be bad for you.
Yeah.
Even sometimes good Airbnb hosts are not the greatest. So just make
Yeah.
sure you're covered. You don't want to be ending up in a bad situation in a foreign country.
The priority is that you're safe. And that's why we do this kind of virtual travel parties so people can learn from people like you how you navigated a country, and then they already have an idea of what to do and how to navigate it, and don't have to go blindly into their planning process, right?
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. And again, if you have any questions in the future, hit me up. I'll be more than happy to help you out, give you some insight.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Chris, for all of this information. I'm
Anything.
really glad that you decided to share your expertise with everyone. In the chat, they're saying amazing presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And yes, we're gonna be publishing this within the next couple of days, and I'm gonna send you a link so you can share with your family and friends and everyone. In case they want to go there, you just send them the link. Look, watch.
There we go. We did the hard
Yes.
work now.
And to everyone else, if you want to see any other episodes that we have had, we have done over 50 episodes already with a different Latino in a different country. Serbia is one of them. We did Serbia, and that was a very fascinating story because it was this guy, he lived in Costa Rica, and his aunt went in the 90s as US military when there was
Hmm.
war, and she took a picture, and he went 20 years later and took a picture in the same spot, and
Wow.
it was like a completely different place, and he showed us both pictures, and it was like really fascinating seeing pre-war and post-war what Syria looked like. So
Look,
I cannot wait to go to all those little countries and go to all the places that you mentioned and all the places that other travelers of this community have shared, because I'm like, wow, this is exactly why I created this,
yes.
so
Yeah.
people like us can listen from perspective of someone who looks like us.
Yes. It drives you, and it's really cool to see our Latino community to band together and to help each other out, and to see that we can get things done. We can be those travelers too. It doesn't have to break the bank. It doesn't have to be luxurious. It doesn't. You can do it on a budget, and you actually do things in your city and wherever you live, even if wherever you are. There are things that you spend more money on. It could be beer. It could be soccer games. It
A
can be
battle in the
whatever it
club
is.
sometimes. Hello, you can do a
Exactly.
whole trip with that.
Exactly. So just be smart, and yeah, I'm pretty good at doing that type of thing. So if you're running out of ideas or how to do it, and you definitely want to travel, hit me up. I'll make a plan for you on how to travel on your budget. I'll
Sounds
take care of it.
great. Thank you so much, Chris. Have a beautiful night,
Hey,
and we
Vanessa.
will talk soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Gracias.
Have a good one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.